Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jasper Dent, and I'm the event coordinator here at McNally Robinson in Saskatoon. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Saskatoon launch of In Your Nature by Estlin McPhee, published by Brick Books. Our special guest readers tonight are local poets Leah Horlick and Rowan F. Neufeld. I'd like to thank Estlin, Leah, and Rowan all for being here tonight, and especially to Estlin for coming all the way from BC to join us here on this windy, rainy, smoky evening. This event is being live streamed, so we have folks joining us from far and wide tonight. Those of us in the room are standing on Treaty 6 territory. This is the land of the Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota, and homeland of the Métis Nation. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our neighbors and kin from Treaty 6 and beyond who've been displaced by the fires that are burning to our north, many of whom I know are here in Saskatoon and waiting to see when they'll be able to return home. Estlin's book touches on many themes and topics, including nature, which is woven throughout. And so hopefully through their reading tonight, you'll experience joy and comfort and community. I also don't want to ignore that many of us are currently experiencing fear and grief and likely anger, and hold space for all of that. Usually this is where I ask people to silence or turn off their phones, and I'd still like to encourage that. But I also know that there may be people in the audience who need to stay in touch or be accessible to loved ones. So if that's the case, of course, do what you need to do, and we understand. Event-wise, if you'd like to buy copies of In Your Nature, we have some up here on the signing table as well as on the desk when you first walked in. And you're welcome to get your copies signed after the event. And before you purchase them, we just ask that you please stop by the cash desk on your way out. Our first reader tonight is Leah Horlick. Leah is the author of 3 books, Riot Lung, For Your Own Good, and Moldovan Hotel. She's a past winner of the Dane Ogilvie Prize, a Stonewall Honor Title, and ARC's Poem of the Year Prize. For 5 years, she and her dear friend Estlin McPhee co-organized a queer and anti-oppressive literary reading series on unceded Coast Salish territories called REVERB. Leah was the 2022-2023 Canadian Writer in Residence with the Calgary Distinguished Writers Program at the University of Calgary, and is now happily for her and for us back in Saskatoon. Everyone, please give Leah a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and for everybody who's logged on online. So nice to see you. Looking forward to reading through all the comments later. And thank you, Jasper, for adjusting the mic because you are such a professional. And also for that incredibly thoughtful introduction. I really appreciate it. You really cased what's happening in the province. It's been a lot to kind of download to a visitor from out of province, and probably 72 hours of trip prep, being like, what's going on. So it was really lovely to hear that be acknowledged so beautifully. Thanks for helping me show off my best friend. I'm so happy that you're all here. You've all heard me brag about this for about 6 months or since we got it started. And thanks to Brick and the League of Canadian Poets for getting Estlin here. It's so special to show Saskatoon off to people who have never been here before. I feel so anxious that you must like it. You must have the best time. So everybody show Estlin a good time. And I'm so happy to be the opening reader at this launch. I'm just going to kind of invite us into a creative space with some very, very gentle poems. If you are familiar with my work, you know that's not my usual bag. And so it's so lovely to have a celebratory occasion, and also to be joined by Rowan, who is also one of my oldest friends and oldest poet friends. And to finally get you and Estlin back together in one space after what was probably like 12 years and one Nico Case concert a long time ago. It's so nice to have everybody together. I met Estlin when I moved to Vancouver in 2011, and I had been working at McNally Robinson, and I thought, gee, I wonder if I could get a job in a children's bookstore in Vancouver. And so I did. And I remember on the first day I walked in and they were like, we're going to assign you someone to train you. And I went, I hope I get the cute one. And then I did. And guess who it was? And then it turned out that we were going to be a year apart in the same MFA program. And then I just latched onto you like a barnacle, and here we are. So I've picked, this is my Estlin McPhee set of poems. So they're all about East Van, which is the neighborhood that we lived in for 10 years for me, long time for you. And they wouldn't be poems about Vancouver if they weren't about crows, which is kind of the city's bird. So this is crows and crows again. In the dream of the new house,
I have my own window facing west. Cherry blossom and fig trees, monkey puzzle and magnolia. Everything flowers. Whatever this is will be good to me. And then the crows, tiny shreds of black cloth thrown over the sunset, and I think the world is ending. A kind hand tells me this is the largest murder in North America. If I ride my bike far enough, I can roost with them at night, east beneath the mountain. A stray crow wings away from the path of feathers, back towards the squares of land I imagine flat and brooding. You're going the wrong way, crow. Come back. But she was never really going, and I watch as she returns with that other bird, as dark and near as her own shadow. The first time I saw a monkey puzzle tree, I don't know if you've seen one, but you should look it up afterwards. We were by Kitts Beach together. I don't know if you remember this. And I was like, oh, look at this tree. And I reached out to touch it and they're sharp. They're really spiky. And you were like, no, no, no. And then I learned that it has this adorable name. And I absolutely thought you were pulling one over on me for so long. I had to go home and look it up. You're like, no, vicious tree, adorable name. This is crows again. Well, this is it. Vancouver, the city I dreamed. Winter will never be the same here. The roses just curling to wilt when it's nearly spring. The shaving of frost from windshields between hydrangea. We can have the ocean and the patch of white at the crest of the mountain. Those lights all crook together like tips of quartz. Every time, on that walk under the shreds of feathers at sundown, someone's arm slung around me or just the light. Another exhale, a little more. What I didn't know, I still held. Those are two poems from For Your Own Good, which is my second book and was my master's thesis, and a book I could not have written without Estlin, who talked to me so much and read probably every single draft of every poem that's in it. And this is the extra lovely thing about getting to launch In Your Nature tonight, is there's so many poems in your book that I feel like I've had such a long relationship with, and then also some in there where I'm like, where was that? Where has that been all this time? So you're going to get introduced to all of them tonight. This is called Marginal Sea. And it is a poem about my trip to Eastern Europe, which you were also just fantastic about helping me plan because you're such an expert traveler. And if you didn't already know that, now you do. So this is about the Black Sea, which is technically a marginal sea. Constanza is a benign myth after fields on iron on loss. We counted every possible symbol from Yash down. This cow, this stork's nest, this grandparent, this tassel horse. All of Romania flooded with fog and light and sunflowers until the ocean, really a marginal sea. Absent-minded oval, ocean's afterthought. A whole day in endless procession to the water. The last inhale of lunar eclipse draws a black swirl around our knees. We try to take a photo by the single flame of a lighter, our faces two red orbs. The sound is water on glass, on sand, on legend, rattle and chime of all the evil eyes for sale along the boardwalk, still awake, blinking. Under the dragback is Ovid, exiled among the fish, Princess Anastasia, ghost of the monk seals, two kinds of dolphin, one species of porpoise, zebra mussels, common carp. We stand on the edge and wave to all the countries so close we can feel them turn in for the night. Good night, Armenia. Good night, Iran. Good night, Azerbaijan. I've been carrying a lot of waves I promised I would deliver. Heavy islet of Europe, propped open by the road sign pointing to Istanbul. One by one, the Argonauts roll over in their sleep. I'll just read one more poem for you before we introduce Rowan. This is probably the most East Van poem I've ever written. And I think of it as being set in the collective house that Estlin used to live in, where a thing that happens in Vancouver that doesn't happen here is they set off fireworks at Halloween, which is actually like a municipal nightmare. It's really fun the first 2 years, and then later on, we're like, oh no. And because it's so rainy, all the mist from the fireworks hangs in the air and creates this like terrible visibility problem, but it also means Halloween is very spooky. And in the neighborhood that we lived, there's a very large like reclaiming witchcraft community, and so there's a huge public Samhain ritual, and you're walking and there's people doing this like spiral walk and all of these like divination stations and like these trees, and you can't see anything because the firework mist. And that's the setting for this poem, which is called Sabbath. In years past, it's been scraps of paper, Candles, a drain full of hair, anything to light on fire in effigy of the calendar, walking figure eights through Strathcona, trailing rosemary and smoke. This year I am keeping it simple, throwing salt out of my own eyes, casting mascara circles, going to synagogue. I need all the help I can get. Years past, I've been all true love and boundaries, and I released this codependence, and this year we are just basic, elemental. Protect the land, protect the water, the people protecting the land and the water. Forgive me for the sin of succumbing to despair. All the witches are indoors, soothing their pets from the firecrackers, toilet paper ghosts stranded out in the wet trees. Today, you wanted to show me the last blaze of that tiny arbutus in the traffic circle on your way to work, and you turned me into a red trail of feathered leaves. The best $35 I spent all year was on a psychic who told me to learn to say, not yet, I need all the help I can get. I sweep out the devils. I zip up our house like a tent. A bright ember, a blue gem in the slick black fur of the city, the tiny solid fire beam at the center of my life. Let's hear some poems from my friends.
Okay, when I visited Vancouver, I didn't meet any witches, so I feel relieved to go back. Our next reader is Rowan F. Neufeld. Rowan is a poet from Saskatoon on Treaty 6 territory. His work has been published in Silent Scene and Poetry All Over the Floor, Volume 1. When they're not writing poems, you'll find them paper crafting or distracted by birds, or moss, or mushrooms, or tiny objects. Rowan is also the executive director of Jack Pine Press, a limited-run chapbook publisher. Everyone, please give Rowan a very warm welcome.
Thank you for that introduction, Jasper. I noticed a few ad libs at the end, and I can't argue or deny anything. So it's true. Thanks so much for having me, Estlin. It's really nice to be sandwiched in between two really great poets. And for as long as Leah and I have known each other, I don't think we've ever had a reading like together.
No.
I don't think so. We've read on the same stages, but and I actually don't think I've ever read a poem in this space. Maybe one. I don't know. Yeah, it's been a while. Anyways. Oh, for context, I did work here for almost 10 years. That's important, I guess. So I'm fresh off a mentorship program with the Saskatchewan Writers Guild, where I worked with a poet from Regina named Bruce Rice, and he worked with me on most of the poems, all of the poems you'll hear tonight. And the first two are a very short little pair. 1 a.m. All the traffic lights turn for me green. In the middle of the street, the steering wheel spins on its own. Nothing impedes me like red and empty. Old magic. Dark street boot heel, fricatives on pavement. The branches are sinister, scrape their warning slowly. They are under my skin like shadows. My body flickers into something else. Somewhere another crescent drags itself home. This next poem is about having ADHD and anxiety and trying to do stuff on a computer. It's called Dual Monitors. I can drag windows from my tiny monitor to the bigger one. They just disappear and reappear somewhere else, but more. Each screen wants to pull me in a different direction, and if I get it wrong, I'm half here, half there. Even a few seconds of confusion feels excruciating. What in the liminal hell? I'm supposed to be good at this millennial stuff, but believe me when I tell you, I'm mostly just fucking around. Learning one line of HTML made me insufferable. Angel fire, anybody? My ex-boyfriend owes me a Coke because I fixed his unfixable watch. I just press buttons until something works. I am the definition of insanity. I do not have a plan. I'm either terrifyingly persistent or absent. Should I put the temporary tattoo on?
Yeah.
Estlin's godchild gave them some temporary tattoos, and I got one as well, so that's very exciting. Maybe I won't put it now. I'll spill water all over myself with this microphone, but I do think you should all see it and compliment Estlin and Leah and Jasper and whoever else in the audience got a temporary tattoo. Okay. Oh, sorry, this applies, you know. This poem came out of an attempt at writing glossa. The glossa was not successful, but I got this poem out of it, and I like it quite a bit. There's 2 lines in it that come from Dark Pines Underwater by Gwendolyn McEwen. Diver, you follow a branch of light that fades as you glide past your reflection. You mean to descend into a murky wet that holds more than you could ever carry. More than anything, you mean to stay alert in your strong body, to lift the lake bed stream to surface, disturb its core as the dark pines of your mind reach downward. But memory plays like an adhesion of siltstone and barnacle. It cannot be scraped clean. You touch something invisible, hold its many limbs, wonder what is so terrible your eyes resist it. The hint of a killdeer trilling on the shore, just enough to lift you and only you. Climb the ghost ladder, a spindly beacon. There is something down here and you want it told. I'm just gonna read one more poem. Gonna lighten the tone a little bit and read you a list poem. This is all of the poems that I have been planning to write and haven't written, but whose titles I liked enough to put them on paper. It's maybe a little bit of a cheat, but I'll have to use my phone for this one. And also, I figure it's Pride Month, and some of these titles are just like gay poems I haven't written yet. Poems I have not written, but might yet write. Night Rat. Frisbee Cox. Saskatchewan cryptograms. Notes app nightmare. A courageous beheading. Adult puberty. The ways of tea and failure. Dark Duck May. You, me, and my CPAP machine. The bathtub fire of 2014. Tinder is the library. The Shrimp Council has spoken. Magpie Mafia. So I guess look forward to these poems at some point within the next decade. And thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to hear that.
Rowan and I are friends and former roommates, and also I took their old job. This one. And I can't believe this is still only my second time hearing you read your poetry in public, so thank you. And now our featured poet for the evening, the reason we have all gathered, Estlin McPhee, no pressure. Estlin McPhee is a writer and librarian who lives on the traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. Estlin holds an MFA in creative writing from the University of British Columbia and is the author of the poetry chapbook Shapeshifters, which was published by Rahila's Ghost Press in 2018. Their writing has appeared in journals across North America. For many years, the wonderful Leah Horlick, their words, I agree, and Estlin co-organized REVERB, a queer reading series in Vancouver. In Your Nature is Estlin's debut poetry collection, and what a debut it is. Everyone, please welcome Estlin.
Hello. Yeah, this is probably can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. That's perfect. I'll lean forward. Beautiful. Okay. Hello. Wow, thank you so much for having me. It's my first time in Saskatoon, and I feel so welcomed and so grateful to be here and having a wonderful time. I just got here yesterday, but I know it's going to keep being fantastic. And thank you, Jasper, for that acknowledgement as well. And yeah, just holding the joy of being here and the grief and fear of our world, I guess. Generally, there's a lot of that. But I feel really grateful to be here, and thank you for reading. And you maybe can see that I have a really large temporary tattoo on. I didn't realize it was going to be that big, but my godchild did say, please take this as a token of kind of like her presence. And it says, believe in yourself. So I think we should all try for that. So I'm going to read some poems from my book, In Your Nature, which just came out in April. It's about gender, magic, evangelicalism, family, transformation, and werewolves. You know, no big deal. So in particular, my book is playing a lot with the association of werewolf imagery with transmasculinity. So this first poem opens the second section of the book, which is called Wolf. Oh no, and I just lost my marker. Of course, I'll find it later. It's called lycanthropy. Metaphor begets metaphor. A man is a beast, a messenger from God, a thing you'll never be, a forest, an ocean. A needle is a supernatural ability. A wolf is a wildness, is mythological transformation, is affliction. A not doing is TV static, stuck in your chest. Danger begets something desperate, like teeth growing from the ground, lily of the valley with fangs instead of flowers. A bouquet is a beckoning, is a parenthood, is a weeping. A boy is waiting by the edge of the woods for whatever comes next. This next poem borrows its title from a Rufus Wainwright song that came out in 2004. So please imagine him circa that era for this poem. It's called Gay Messiah. We all have our little rebellions. I, for instance, cut off my hair and take up witchcraft. Will chant anything sublunary or otherwise to summon other queers to my small town. Primarily, they materialize from old books, their outlines smudgy, their clothing outdated. Resurrected and exhausted, they are busy with their own dramas and don't want to talk to me. Shakespeare is here, mingling with Artemis, who won't stop fiddling with her arrows. Turns out even the godliest among us has something to prove to their parents. At the party in my mind, I'm in charge for once. So Jesus is here, is queer, and looks eerily similar to Rufus Wainwright. He slouches at the piano, playing songs he learned from the dead. Emo, yes, but you work with what you've got. I sit on the thick carpet in my brother's hand-me-downs and sing along, entranced by the new outline of my skull, that lightness like a halo. By midnight, we're all holding hands, flesh and ghost. Jesus brings out a cauldron, travel size, tells us and lights up a fire in it, tells us to burn what no longer serves us. Where to start? I turn out my pockets. And will I have anything left after? Jesus stops in front of me. Your turn, he says. My turn. Okay, now I've lost my little marker, so give me a moment to figure out what was next. Oh yeah, okay. So unfortunately, I can't tell you the title of the next poem because it's been redacted. So you just have to read it in the book. Yeah, redacted. I don't remember kissing her, having stolen a bottle of wine from my parents' cupboard, taken it down to the dark river, having drunk the whole thing, abandoned the glass among the bracken, forgotten. 18, a warm night, sticky with stars. Summer, a desperate feeling upon which to brush my fingertips. Having bottled up the idea of desire, just in case. The trees in soft silhouette, a moment of pavement beneath me. Later, the hangover of a lifetime, blur of dreamlike figures clinging to the edges of my mind, until she finally told me that what we were about to do had already happened once. Having soberly considered that kiss an impossible option, having once been so young that everything was contraband, even my own memory. Does anyone here know what Focus on the Family is?
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. I'm sorry that you do. And I'm sorry to bring it up. For those who don't, Focus on the Family ran an ex-gay ministry called Love One Out for many years. It's since been disbanded and the founder has apologized. It's once again a gay man. But yeah, obviously ex-gay ministries and conversion therapy are very, very deeply damaging. And this is a poem about that. Super fun. It's called Love One Out. The sin of homosexual behavior, like all sins, can be forgiven and healed by the grace revealed in the life and death of Christ. Love One Out, Conference Guide, 2005. So that's a quote from the Conference Guide, just to be clear. It's not part of my poem. Gay and gangly when the internet was new, scrolling through gender all summer long, possible selves draped over the bed, like back to school outfits. I step into boy jeans and skate shoes, kick off junior year by starting the Gay Straight Alliance, crying in the bathroom. I've only ever seen another trans person on the screen. I delete my history badly. My mother orders a box full of dark green pamphlets from Focus on the Family. Ex-gay propaganda for your friends in your group, she says. All year the pamphlets appear in my room. I make them vanish silently. I'm just going to read a couple more poems, and this next poem that I'm going to read, Leah requested. So I'm going to read it for you. And this is an older poem. There's some poems in here that are really old. Yeah, I know. Yeah, which is such an interesting thing to now have. Like for me, they're old and not in a negative way at all, just they've been with me for a really long time. And it's really interesting to have people interacting with them for the first time. So it feels like sort of a time travel project because of that. And this next poem I think of and have always thought of as sort of an impossible love poem to all the trans people in my life, including myself. It's called What Love Can't Do. It's this endless orchestral ache, like the bow never lifts from the violin strings, the note held taut. You, transplant, no matter what city or song. The enormity of what I wish I could offer you, an ocean streaming from my hands. I will love you across all landscapes, across names, pronouns, your shape shifting or not. I love you so much that something will heal. The scars you didn't choose smoothed back into skin. The scars you did choose worn to the beach. Let's take them swimming. I will love you enough that you'll be able to walk into the water again, the way you haven't in years. Salt crash and tug on your body. How long has it been? Since you were so young, you could have been swept away by the tide. I will love you until the tide changes and we're all swept backwards. Your mother calling you into the house instead of telling you to leave it. I'm just going to read one more poem. Before I do, I just want to say thank you again for being here, having me here. It's very special for me. And this poem, I think, is pretty self-evident, but it's about going back to the mega church that I grew up in. So yeah, it's fun stuff. It's called Turning Back. To test your power, you return to the megachurch of your childhood, tiny knife tucked into the body of the cross, swinging from your gold necklace, little flash of protective glamour. You cross the threshold into the familiar house of worship, cavernous, brimming with LEDs, and become a pillar of salt, as you always knew you would. How many times did they warn you not to look back? Now your body made of salt runneth over, decorating the new carpets with fine grit. No one notices you've changed. The woman in front of you turns around to hold your briny hands, declares you beautiful in the eyes of God. She was born again 49 years ago. On stage, there's an earnest attempt at a soft rock concert in the name of Jesus. Your crumbling arms place the miniature plastic communion cups into their miniature cup holders attached to the back of the seat in front of you. The pastor is lackluster, offers up, "Forgive my sins, I repent, I turn from them," while the cheap grape juice crystallizes on your tongue. He fails to share any delicious details, spares you talk of condemnation, which you strangely miss. You can't help it. It's in your nature to look for a bit of Sodom and Gomorrah. It's easier to be made of salt than you thought it would be when you were younger. Most of you remains in your body. After it's over, you return to your whole life. Thank you so much.
You again to Estlin and Leah and Rowan for all reading for us tonight, and thank you everyone for coming out. This was such a lovely event to start Pride Month off with, so thank you for all being here.
Thanks,
You're welcome. This concludes our reading portion of the evening, but Estlin will still be here to sign some books if you would like one. A reminder again, you can get it signed first. Just stop by the cash desk on your way out. And I hope you all have a very good evening. Thank you so much. Have a great night.